on your end there.
Recording on my end.
Mm-hmm. And then we'll be live in just a second, and then I'll give an intro, and then we're off to the races. Only thing I don't like using this other desktop because it takes away some of my blue light, like the brighter it gets. You're right, it does look really purple. Like it looks really purple right now.
I mean, it looks fine, but yeah, it is quite purple.
Yeah, but I wanted the blue for the Sony, but that's all right. And it looks more purple. Like the green was like not as wide, I feel. Like when I had the green on the other night.
What do you mean not as wide?
Like I feel like you see on the corners here, left, right, like it's all over me, where the green was just under the arms, where it's just the blue under the arms. Yeah. Weird. Why am I hearing an echo? What's going on? Oh, that's because it kicked me to the Geek First YouTube channel. It's like, how have you seen Avengers Endgame review? Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 361st episode of the Geek First podcast. Oh boy, I am the #1 PlayStation fanboy, trust now.
Adam Hartcaster, Dylan Muss.
So if you know the title, this is what we're talking about. We're going to get right into it. As usual, the links are down below. If you want to support us, head over to the Patreon. We got a bunch of tiers for ad-free content, exclusive content, early content, watch-alongs with us, the whole shebang. So tons of stuff there. And just subscribe and follow us on Twitter and Facebook to follow reviews and stuff like that. We got lots of things dropping. Me and Taylor have been reviewing The Boys. Me and Dylan just reviewed Avengers. So we got tons of stuff going on. Dylan, before we get into PlayStation, how's Spelunky going?
Oh my God, it's so good. Yes, for anyone who doesn't know, Spelunky 2 finally came out yesterday, and I am just loving it so much. I think one of the amazing things about the original game was just uncovering all these secrets and just all the learning that comes along with it. And I was expecting that this game would have that stuff as well, but I really feel like I'm back at square one. Like I feel like I'm day one Spelunky again. It's that feeling of like experiencing your favorite movie for like the first time. I really feel like that with this. So it's like all this cool new stuff, but also I feel like I'm restarting from the beginning, and it feels so good. Feels amazing.
I do have to say that I didn't know what Spelunky was until I met you, but with this game, obviously it's on my radar because of you, but these are not you retweeting them. I've seen lots of people talking about and throwing lots of praise on and whatnot. So there's definitely been some people that have jumped on since the first one, because the first one I feel was like I won't say not that big, but I didn't hear about it. But now I just saw like multiple people, their reviews, and they're excited for it.
The reviews it's getting are pretty wild, pretty high, you could say.
It's one of those best things as a video game you want to see, where it's like, all I've seen is it's like the original, but fine tunes and is better. Like, not better, but you know what I mean? Like it evolves, and that's the best thing. So
on online co-op, Travis, on the PlayStation 4.
I know you do that $20. There's a chance one day I may. I gotta try it out first and then go from there. But you talk high praise of it, so one day I will. But you know what? Yeah. Maybe we're going to talk some high praise is this PlayStation 5 showcase. You may have talked a little bit about, but we haven't deep dive. We both
my Spelunky shirt on, by the way.
Oh, there you go. Did you buy it separately, or did it come with the game?
No, this I got, I don't even know, probably 3 years ago. The game came out in 2012. So I don't know where or when it came from, but it's a very comfy shirt as well, which is why I wear it so much on these podcast episodes.
No, that's good. So what did you think about just the overall thoughts, and then we'll go in order of some kind of games and announcements and whatnot. But what did you think overall? And maybe we'll start with the actual price and date, because that's at the end, but still that's like the big main event. So we can start with that, because obviously that's the hot topic right now, as far as it's coming November 12th. And the price of the disc version is $499, just like the Xbox Series X. And then the discless version is $403.99, all American prices, because Jessica and Taylor hate when I don't list the Canadian. So there you go. That's the American prices. My God.
Yeah. Well, it gets kind of weird too when they do the conversions, because like sometimes it might even be more expensive than what it is in Canadian if you just take that number and then like multiply it by the conversion rate. So like sometimes they change it to make it a more round number. But anyway, that's semantics. Overall, I was quite surprised with some of the things. Like I didn't think that we'd get new game reveals here, and we got more than one. So that was a big surprise for me. Outside of that, I think most of the news in here is stuff that isn't very surprising. We knew how much these consoles were going to be, or we had a good chance at least, and they ended up being the exact same price. I think more of the interesting stuff actually has come since the event happened, and all the things online of, oh, this is actually coming to PS4, this isn't, oh, this was, but it actually isn't, this is actually a launch game. Tons of random stuff that I'm actually really glad we didn't do this cast right after the presentation, because so much good information has come out in the last couple hours since the actual presentation. But overall, I thought it was great. I think it was 40, 42 minutes, whatever it was, of like some really cool reveals for games, some stuff that we already kind of knew about, just kind of reminding us, some surprises, and then just kind of getting that information out that we had a good understanding of or a good prediction of, but now we can just confirm it for sure and compare to the Xbox if that's what you're into. So
Mhm.
overall, I was pretty happy with it. What do you think?
Yeah, I liked it. So I'm of two, the Tale of Two Cities. I think the show was really well done. I think the information, some of the choices they have made, I question. The first question I have is I feel there's tons of information that I don't even understand why I was not in this conference, which we're going to get into. But just certain things like adding a game at launch thing. At first, I thought, okay, they're not revealing the date of Spider-Man because they want to wait till they reveal the console, and then in the end they'll say, and
Mm-hmm.
this game and this game, this game's all coming at launch. They never did that. We have to find out from Jeff Keighley. Like, great for Jeff getting these scoops, but like it felt very odd. And again, most people around the internet that don't see this presentation will see it on their Twitter feed, and that's fine. But still, it is just, I think, good to have that all together. And then I have some other I guess I got a few cons actually, as far as PlayStation tweeted out an hour ago that, oh, pre-orders go live tomorrow. Okay, cool. One, be nice to have a time, not just have kind of like a shit show going on. But now there are multiple. There's GameStop in the States. There's something happening in the UK. There's some in Ireland. There's Walmart in America. So if pre-orders go live tomorrow, it'd be different if we were like 9 p.m. It's 4 p.m. PST here. So it's not going that time where like America's the next day. So it's like pre-orders are tomorrow. You just tweeted this, but now there's just this wide variety of sites having
Mm-hmm.
them and then pulling them down and then putting them back up. So I think that's messy. And two, from like and whenever I do this, I feel like some people think I'm like trying to rob fans of their money. I don't want that. It's all good for consumer, but and this is what I'm excited to talk to you about. I am very thrown off about Spider-Man being PS4 and
Mm-hmm.
Horizon. What's the sequel title?
Forbidden West.
Forbidden Rest. Okay, that is
West, not rest. West.
forbidden the forbidden rest that I don't know what that is, but that's something else. But that's also coming to PS4, and
Yeah.
I from a consumer, that's awesome because like everybody, if you check out the Geek Ultimate Alliance, Marvel Alliance, we had on Brent. He's from another podcast, and he's been saying that he literally bought the PS5 or PS4 just to play Spider-Man. And he said if Miles Morales was just PS5, he'd be buying a PS5. But now he got that news today, and it's
Yeah.
great for him. I'm happy for him. He saved $600, whatever. But from a consumer, like thinking from business wise and what they did last generation, I'm just very surprised that we've heard them been saying it's all about next generation. We're not like Xbox. We're not worried about other generations. We're moving forward. But like they're not exactly like Xbox, but they kind of are with some of these big titles being on PS4. And I question it as a business move. As a consumer, I'm happy, but I guess to pose you, I just want to be like, sell me on why I should buy a PS5 at launch. I'm running to the same problem about an Xbox. I will because of what we do, and we kind of love being in that conversation. But I'm just saying, I'm not on the podcast, regular life. Why do I need to? If I love Spider-Man, I love Horizon, I have most of these PS4 games. Like, what other than power, which is I know lots of people throw out, I just don't know why I would buy a PS5 at launch right now. I really don't. I'm trying to think of reasons, and I don't have one particular one.
Yeah, I agree when it comes to Spider-Man. I am shocked by that, especially
Mm-hmm.
because when we saw the reveal of that at the PlayStation event a month and a half, 2 months ago, whenever it was, they didn't explicitly say this is PS5 only, but they said like showing footage from PS5. So that a lot of us thought that meant it was a PS5 exclusive, and I am really surprised that it isn't. Horizon makes more sense for me, but I think when it comes to Spider-Man, that is the console seller. Obviously, you just anecdotally have one piece of evidence right
Yeah.
there, but I think as well it's proven in the numbers. If you look at all of PS4's many first-party exclusives, in which they had tons of big ones. Out of all of those, Spider-Man was the best-selling in terms of just pure units sold. I don't know where Horizon falls in the mix of that. It's probably under God of War, probably under
Last of Us 2.
Ghost.
Last of Us 2 had pretty big opening. Remember, it broke all those records. I could try to
Yeah,
find that out,
Last of
but
Us, of course.
I would say it's at least in the top 5 to 10. Like it's one of their like
Yeah,
have.
it's a really big title, but I'm also wondering if part of that decision is related to they recently brought it to PC. I want to say in July,
Mm-hmm.
maybe it was August, maybe it was June, somewhere around that slot, and it didn't quite do as well as maybe they were expecting or wanting in terms of sales. Now, part of that also is because apparently it didn't run amazingly well on PC. So
Mm.
maybe that was part of the thing is people were seeing, oh, not getting great reviews. It's not a great port. I'm not going to get this. Maybe they're waiting until like it's the definitive version and then they'll buy it later down the road. But, from that perspective, like what is there? 110 million PlayStation 4s in the world.
Yeah,
That's a
it's, I think
lot
it's
of
the third or second highest console of all time. I think PlayStation 2 is
It's the
number
second
one.
highest home console of all time
Home,
after the
yeah, home
PS2.
console. Yeah.
Third after if you like count the Nintendo handhelds.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's so that's a lot of potential sales there that you're not going to get, especially if PS4. There's been these reports that maybe they had shortages with getting supplies, maybe they didn't. Who knows? But either way, like at most, you're going to sell however many copies that is, and then more down the line when people get their consoles later. But I think for Horizon it makes sense. But I am pretty surprised by the Miles Morales one. I think it is a good move because obviously if it's like an extension of a PS4 exclusive game, I think it makes sense that boom, you can play this whole story on one console. But yeah, I think it is pretty surprising, and I think you raised a good point of like what is there to buy on launch. I think maybe there is still an answer to that. Maybe not for you, but I think Demon Souls is a huge get for them.
That's
The fact
true.
that
Yeah.
that is now kind of confirmed by like not by PlayStation in their event today, but by other people that it is a launch game.
And
So
PS5 exclusive too. Because remember at the last PS5 event, I missed that, but that article is from Kotaku that said it had previewed going to PC and other consoles. But
right,
today it came out that no, it is strictly
yeah,
PS5
I
as of
I
right
could see that
now.
one coming to PC down the road.
Yeah.
Who knows in the long run? But that is a game from Blue Point, so I was really surprised in the presentation to see that it was also on PC at some point. So it was less confusing when you sent me that text saying, "Oh, it's actually just PS5." And I think that makes sense if you looked at that trailer today. If that truly is in recorded from a PS5, that is a fucking amazingly looking game.
Hmm.
I don't know if the PS4 could handle that at like a stable frame rate or whatever. But I think that's a great get because Bloodborne was huge on the PS4. That's probably also one of the top selling games of all time on the console. So I think that's a big reason. And then apparently that Sackboy game, I don't know if that's also coming to PS4. That's the thing is like so much of this is ambiguous. That's maybe another selling point. The thing is, there's a lot of great games. I think the Miles Morales one is quite surprising, but for me, I see it a bit differently. Like I can't wait for no load times. To me, that's a huge deal. So to have a console that essentially removes load times is still a big selling point on why to get it at launch because I want I want to play Cyberpunk in the best way I can, and the
Hmm.
most affordable way to do that is for me to get a PS5 or maybe a Series X. I don't know how they would compare, but I want to be in the PlayStation sphere of things for the exclusive down the road. So I don't know. To me, I still have a lot of selling points on why to get it at launch if I can. I'm going to try and get one at launch. But for
Hmm.
you, with Miles Morales saying it's coming to PS4, I totally understand that sentiment, and that sucks because that kind of kills your hype a bit. I mean, it saves you potentially a lot of money if you were to not get the PS5 because you don't quote unquote need to anymore.
Yeah,
But I
that's what I've been struggling the past hour with. I
Mhm.
literally have thought about like because I think I still will because I want to do like for the podcast and I want to be in the conversation and it is always fun to be a part of that. But I did just still think about like I was trying to wrap my head around reasons of why, and especially because we'll get into it. But like that PS collection, like that's cool and all. But I've played majority of those big games I really want to play. Like I'm happy I can finally play Days Gone for
Mhm.
an add-on to PS Plus. But like I'm not like I need a PS5 for that, and that still might even be on PS4 because all they said was PlayStation Plus was getting a new benefit. I know I'm jumping over, but like
Yeah.
they just said it was a new benefit. So we don't know if that's tied to the console or tied to the service. So I was just surprised because I've always talked about that with Taylor, right? As far as Xbox, they got Games Pass, they got all this great stuff, most powerful console. But for me, it was always games that sell that console. And for me, that's where I think you're right with Demon Souls. That is big, but I just thought like if you had that and you had Spidey, that is like a two big one punch of like and even then, like with Deathloop, do we know is that going to the older consoles like PS4 and Xbox One?
I doubt it. I very
Yeah.
much doubt it. We know it's coming to PC and probably Xbox down the road. Maybe I think it is more specifically a timed exclusive.
Hmm.
But yeah, PS5 at launch it was the thing. But then yeah, of course that got pushed back by about roughly 6 months. We didn't have actual date for when it would come out, but we knew it was 2020, and then they pushed it
Yeah.
back to Q2.
So
But
maybe.
yeah.
Oh, go ahead. You go ahead.
Well, yeah, I was just gonna say that to talk on that quickly because we got another trailer here. It's not, I don't know how much detail it's worth going into just because that game is so far out. To me,
Oh yeah.
really that to me is still the console seller is Deathloop. And even though it's not Q2, my logic here is that like, okay, if the console is still going to be the same price in Q2 2021, and I'm gonna absolutely buy a PlayStation to play Deathloop, then I might as well just get it now, because then I can play Demon Souls as well, which I'm really interested in, and play the best version of Spider-Man, play the best version that I can get of Cyberpunk and other games like this.
And that's where I was too eventually, because I'm like, this thing's not going to go on sale for a while. And at some point, I'm going to
Yeah.
buy it. So that's why I was like, I will probably just buy it day one because of that. I was trying to think of reasons. And that's why I'm trying to compare it almost to Halo, where if this was Demon Souls and maybe take Spider-Man out, but then Deathloop as well, I would have been like, okay, that's a good, solid, like a couple games there. And then if you had to me, that's where I wish, like, again, not wish, I guess, as I'm have the business hat on, but for them to go, if they would have done those two in Spider-Man, that would have been a killer. You got to get PS5 to get these three games, but maybe it's like you said, that's what I'm very interested in. And there's like this elf in the room that we've never really talked about as far as PlayStation and their ecosystem, is the whole Sean Layden thing. And
I
Sean
know, right?
Layden,
It's almost been like, I feel like it's almost been a year at this point, right?
I think it's at least been a year. And that's where, to me, the last time we did a console launch, he was with us for the majority of it. And this is where launching a console without him. And I do wonder if this is showing of the guard, where in the past they might have been a bit more cutthroat of, no, we're putting this all in this console so people buy them. I wonder whoever's running in charge now look at those old install base and they go, you know what? That's a lot of money still to be had there. Let's capitalize on that. And I guess, like, again, I'm trying not to sound this, but like I said, I'm not trying even to sound business wise. I'm just trying to think of myself personally, like, okay, for us in Canada, it's gonna be $600 pretty much. And then if you got a game and then a controller, which they've released, controllers are $70. So that's $100 for us.
Yeah, thankfully I don't need a new one of those, but it still sucks that you can't use a PS4 controller on
Yeah.
these consoles. Or at least I believe there was an official Sony report that said that.
So someone like myself, I'll definitely need one because me and Emily play games together. So I'll have to buy one. So I'm looking at like a clean $800 right now for this console. And that's where when I sit back and go, okay, why am I really buying this console? Especially, I know there's people like you and Taylor. He says he's not a PC guy, but he wants the best power in console. That I completely understand. I'm talking about myself or even mainstream people of like, there's a lot of people that I think will just buy that Spider-Man PS4. But I guess what I'm trying to counterpoint myself is when the Spider-Man 2 official sequel comes out, that will be PS5. I imagine. this God of War title will be PS5. So that's where these are almost like
God of War is really the big question mark for me, because they said today they talked about that game and they said it's coming 2021, which to me is crazy. We'll talk about 2021 in a bit here, I'm sure. But if that is also on PS4, that would be a huge surprise for me at this point. Like, I know they're kind of going down that road, but I guess also at this rate, like, what do you think about Ratchet and Clank? Because they didn't talk about that today, and we haven't seen anything report of that would say it's PS4. But like, I guess that would then be there. Like, now with Spider-Man Miles Morales on PS4, is Ratchet and Clank now the kind of first big console exclusive? I guess Demon Souls you put in there, but
I would
I
put
almost put
there's
Ratchet.
tons of hype for Demon Souls. Like, even though it's not my community, like I feel
Yeah.
like people are, and even
It is
myself was
more niche still. Like, I think more people might pick it up from the sake that it is a launch title rather than like Bloodborne, which came out somewhere else down the road. But I feel like Ratchet and Clank is probably the first like this is for all audiences.
I agree, but with Demon Souls, ever since that game been announced, I've just seen so much hype building and people getting excited. And this is where I even got tricked into it. And I don't think I'm gonna buy it, but we're kind of all over, but whatever. That trailer looked fucking great. I loved
Oh my god! And
everything
it was
about
just
it.
gameplay for like 2 minutes as well, which is
I
like
love
great.
the world, the enemies when you get to that big like armored
Yeah.
guard and everything. I was just like, this looks cool, and I'm not always into that style because like Jedi Fallen Order is like the close I play that, and that's like child's play. But still, I was looking at this and I was like, this trailer, like for someone that's not in that genre, is starting to sell me. So I feel like there's tons of people that are. I think, like you said, it's a launch title, so that gets people excited already. But I think I think what's getting people excited, it has that cult classic feel of like this started a whole genre and people want to go back to that, and it looks really good. So I think this game is going to do gangbusters as far as it's a smaller install base, but still, I think the attachment rate with that game, because I'm even thinking about myself now of like, do I pick that up? Because I have right now no other games. I have Spider-Man. I might not.
Yeah.
I might not because I got Avengers, but even then, if I'm wanting a new game, a PS5 game, there's a chance I might. So that's where I think that game could be a lot stronger for them than we're anticipating.
Yeah, for me, it's just like I love Dark Souls 3, one of my favorite games. I've tried pretty much everything else in the series, and I like them enough. But this one just has me so interested because I just love the look of it so much. The
Hmm.
aesthetic is something else. Like Ghost of Tsushima or Horizon are probably the best looking games I've ever played, but in terms of just atmosphere alone, Dark
Yeah.
Souls 3, the visuals of that game are amazing. And so I think that's why Demon Souls is so captivating. I want to quickly shout this out. So this is the launch lineup for PS5 right now. So Astro's Playroom, which is more of like a almost like a tech demo sort of thing. Like I'm guessing it'll use all of the ways that the PS5 new Dual Shock or
Okay.
Dual Sense controller,
Those haptic
and
feedback or
that's
whatever it is.
pre-installed on the PS5. So that's just like an included game. It's like
Okay.
Wii Sports,
Cool.
if you will. And then you got Demon Souls, Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales, of course, Sackboy: A Big Adventure, which is the Little Big Planet Sackboy kind of platformer game. And then this game called Destruction All Stars, which is we've talked about it before, but it's almost like spiritual successor of like Twisted Metal or something, but looks more
Yeah.
like Fortnite or something like that. But I think that is a pretty solid lineup in terms of diverse playstyles. Like you have like something for the
Hmm.
hardcore gamers, you have something for kids, you have like a platformer, and then like Spider-Man is just that mass appeal that transcends video games and gets people who just watch movies, Marvel movies, into like, I want to play this video game. And
Yeah.
I feel like, oh my god, I am super curious what Miles Morales sales are going to be around Christmas time. That game is going to be insane. That might pass like Spider-Man PS4 just because of the timing it comes out and the fact that it's like the new fidelity for the new console and stuff like that.
Well, and plus you have those two versions, so someone wants to get the cheaper version, they can of just the game. Because I've gone back and forth, like, what version are you gonna get? You gonna get just the base one? Because I've thought about that, but then it's just like, I don't know. It's only $20 more to get that full game, but at the same time, like, am I gonna ever play it again fully on the
Yeah,
PS5? I don't know.
yeah. So what is that exactly? There's like essentially there's just the Miles Morales section, or you can get Miles Morales plus the original Spider-Man. Is
Yeah,
that the
the Ultimate
situation?
Edition. Yeah,
And there are 20 bucks difference.
yeah,
I don't.
40.99, and then I think it's, well, maybe I'm wrong. I think it's, yeah, sorry, 40. It's 50.70. That's what it is.
Right. Yeah, I don't see a reason of getting the Ultimate Edition for myself. I'll
Yeah.
just get the Miles Morales. I mean, the thing is, Spider-Man has gone on sale so many times for like $20 on the store. So who knows? Like, I'm sure at some point, if I really want to play that game again on the PS5 version, then I can just buy that version of the game. But I mean, yeah, I'm in the same boat as you. Where like, yeah, 600. I'm talking Canadian dollars here, $600 for this console, likely, unless it ends up being more because the conversion rate.
Hmm.
Demon Souls, Cyberpunk, and Miles Morales. Like that's three games that I absolutely want to get like at launch. That's a lot of money. I don't need another
Oh yeah.
controller, thankfully. I'm lucky there, but that is a lot of money. And then I don't know. I've been thinking lately about like getting a new TV because I don't have a 4K TV. My TV is pretty old, as you can see. It's right behind me if you're watching the video. So I don't know. Like there's maybe a TV in my future as well. So it's already getting expensive. So I'll save the $20 and just get the Miles Morales DLC. Not like I'll have time anyway in the near future to play the full game.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you're not wrong. I was gonna say two things. One, when they talk about Destruction All Stars, I forgot what game it was, so I was like, "Did I miss an announcement that they're doing an All Stars too?" I was like, "That's so super hype. They have new characters," but no, that didn't happen. And then two, I know. Well, whatever. I'm gonna bring it up now. I know it ended the conference, but just because we were talking about, it, I was gonna ask. With this God of War, I've seen multiple people throw out this theory, and I want to get your opinion on it. That it may be a Spider-Man Morales type sort of situation where it's not a full game, it's another, this is a chapter in this story, smaller version, because it is a quick turnaround. And that would go to that theory of, if it's PS4, it's that same thing as Spider-Man. Well, it's a continuation, and here it is. So what do you think about that? Because I don't think that's a crazy theory to have.
oh man, that is an interesting question. Yeah, timeline wise, it's got about another year because God of War came out in February of 2018.
Yep.
Spider-Man PS4 came out that same year, but in September. And then so Miles Morales coming out, let's pretty close to September, so pretty much 3 years. God of War coming out in 2021. Did they say what quarter? Do we know that much? We don't have
God of
actual.
War, no core, just
Yeah,
2021.
so it
So
could have a potentially whole nother year on what Spider-Man has in terms of time for development. So it could be a little bit more turnaround time. But still, I mean, even throwing COVID delays and all this kind of thing, it's still like, time is short on that one.
and regular game delays too.
Yeah,
That pre-COVID, just games get delayed all the time, right?
I think the thing with I guess both these games even have like post-credit scenes that hint at what the future is going to be. So like
Mhm.
obviously they were both considering oh, this game's probably going to do well enough. We're going to make this into a trilogy or whatever of games. So I'm inclined to think that God of War is going to be a fully new game, whereas Miles Morales is a shorter game than Spider-Man 2 with Peter Parker comes out. Who knows at some point? But I just feel like a God of War trilogy is imminent. Whereas with Spider-Man, I don't think it's just a trilogy. I think they'll just like keep going, and maybe they'll do other
Yeah.
side characters and stuff down the road. Especially considering how well that game sold. God of War did as well, to be fair. But I'm gonna
Spider-Man's just
go
a
with
bigger universe. You could have another Miles
yeah.
Morales game. You can have a Spider-Gwen. You can have a Spider-Man 2099. There's endless possibilities with that. We're
Right.
going
Whereas
to
I don't
war.
know if God of War will ever go past Kratos. I feel like you're always going to play
Yeah.
as Kratos, or you're going to be playing a spin-off game called something else.
And I don't think, and I've never played the other ones fully, but as far as the track they're on now with this more deeper story, I don't think it lends itself to we're gonna just put out so many sequels. Like we're gonna put out 5 more God of Wars. Like I think there's gonna be a point where they're gonna want a Red Dead Redemption, Last of Us, and Nathan Drake, where it's like we have a finite point to this character and we want to get there,
Yeah.
And I think we will. And maybe there's spinoffs you could do at some point, but I don't think they're gonna just shell out tons of God of War. But then again, if this is a minor, smaller one, that could be the case. As if it did sell well, it won tons of awards. I think it won Game of the Year, right? And the big one with Jeff's. I think the year, yeah. So like it had a lot of praise, lots of sales. So I could see them trying to find a way to, hey, how can we make as much money as possible? I'll put you on the spot then. So you think this is a purely PS5 thing?
I will say so, but I'm also kind of bewildered by Miles Morales.
Yeah, the changes.
Yeah. Oh man, now I really don't. I feel like I'm gonna go with PS5 only for now. That's my prediction, but I'm still digesting all this info that has come out in the last couple hours. Where are you on that?
I'll go PS5 only, but I'm like a 51-49 because I'm with you as Spidey. I'm Spidey. For some reason, I'm more surprised about Horizon. I know it's funny that we're flipped, but I just thought that for sure was going to be you want to play this big sequel of this game. You got to play on PS5. And especially with Miles, I was like, they've said it's like a 10 to 12 hour venture, maybe 15. That's great, but it is still a smaller game. So I was like, okay, this makes sense why it could be on both. I still didn't think they would do both. Where Horizon, that's not some smaller venture. That's the next installment in this new series, right? That they want to be a big IP. So that caught me off guard. So I think it will be PS5 because maybe that's going to be around the time where this and then the first half of 2021 is going to be the getting people to, slowly turn over, and then eventually I do think eventually they'll drop the hammer and say, okay, these games are just for PS5 now. I'm just surprised they're not doing it.
Well, I mean, that's been their like whole marketing campaign the last couple of years, or I guess the last year, I should say. So that's why I'm still a little bewildered by some of this news today. Seems strange. It's definitely like adverse to what they've been talking about. But I guess that's maybe credit to what you were saying earlier. Sean Layden pieced out around a year ago ish. He was kind of the head. He was like the Reggie equivalent. He was the Phil Spencer equivalent. He's gone. They haven't ever like put someone into that slot of like, here's your front man who's going to talk about these presentations, who's going to be on stage. Not that there's going to be stages for a while, especially with them not even wanting to be at E3 in the future.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just maybe that's part of it too, is we don't have that head right now who's kind of talking about or who's kind of giving the vibe of what they're about coming in this generation. It's just been like random reports coming out, and then here's a shit ton of cool games, which I mean, I'm cool with that. I like games.
Yeah. The other thing I was going to say, because you said you weren't surprised, but I honestly, I guess seeing the price of the disc list, I'm surprised. I wasn't too surprised, but I still was surprised that they went the same as Xbox. I thought for sure they were going to go. And that's why to me, this is like not a completely different launch than the PS4, but it's very different if you compare them both. And I'm very surprised. I still think they could have ate the $50. I know that's a lot when it stacks up, but I still think they could have. I'm surprised they didn't. I don't know if this has to do with meeting Xbox. To me, this feels like they're trying to push people towards the discless version, because we have heard these rumors that all the special editions are going to be the discless ones, and obviously that would cut out the middleman with retail and whatnot. So I feel like that's why they're like, oh boom, look at this, $100 cheaper. But I'm honestly surprised it's $4.99 the disc version. I really am. I thought they would go cheaper. So that's why I feel like it's not a ploy, but they're trying to guide people to the discless. And like we said, it's November 12th. So it's 2 days after the Xbox Series X.
I'm not terribly surprised. So the thing with the Xbox, is yes, you have like a $200 less version of the console, but it's also a lesser version. It doesn't have
Yeah.
4K. It's not as powerful.
Lots of
Things
stuff
like
has been coming out about that the past few weeks, as far as like it's like
yeah,
not a super lesser, but it's definitely it's a noticeable step down.
yeah, which to me isn't really that big of a deal. I think 1440p, which the Series S runs at, is still like very impressive. That's very good. I mean, I don't have a 4K TV, so I don't care anyway. For me, I mean, Xbox, like I would have to get Series X because I have so many 360 and original Xbox discs that I would want to carry
Yeah.
over. But uh, the thing is, their price is so much lower because it is a lesser console. It doesn't just lack the disc drive; it lacks some power as well. Whereas PS5 is the exact same console without the disc drive. So I guess that price differential makes a bit more sense. And obviously, disc drive is not $100, but they bring that price down even more because in the end, they'll make more money back. Because if you buy a PS5 all digital edition, the only place you can buy games is on the PlayStation's official store.
Exactly.
So they get better margins there. And any purchase you make goes through them. It's not like me and Travis buying a copy of Death Stranding and Kirkland grabbing that from us for free. You're not going to have anything like that. If Kirkland was to get Death Stranding, you have to give them an extra $80
Hmm.
or whatever their equivalent ends up being, whatever their percentage ends up being. So the price makes sense. Like they're probably losing a bit on that digital version, but they'll make it back pretty quick when you factor in that. Yes, they're like going to get more from the individual games, but also if they're amping up what PS Plus is, you're probably going to get more people subscribed to that at the end of the day, or at least these benefits that they're adding to PS Plus are just for PS5 version. So they'll probably make it seem like, oh, you need to get this when you first get the console and try to pick up as many people. They already have like a great attachment rate of PS Plus to console owners, and considering they have
Yeah.
110 million PS4s out there. So yeah, I
So
think I think the price makes a lot of sense. It's pretty much exactly what I was expecting. So I guess that's why to me it doesn't really feel like news. It just feels like I can picture that announcement now with Sony marketing instead of just like out of people's mouths.
So I'll ask you this early on, but still, we got 2 more months. How do you think both these consoles are going to do now that we got pretty much all the info about them? And because, like I said, to me, I was always in the camp where PlayStation 5 was going to slay them. I think they will still sell better, but I think it's, in my opinion, it's less so because I still feel like there's a lot of people that jump off the I need to get it day one. Obviously, quantities are lower, but just like I said, I feel like there's people that would have got it that go, I can wait because I can get Spider-Man. I can get this. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's just the hype machine of PlayStation 5 will
Mm-hmm.
drive that. But I do think it's not going to be as big of a launch as PlayStation. I guess it's bad. It's a bad comparison because where we are in the world. So no matter what, it would be lesser. But I just mean like in just comparative terms as far as what the people if there was no COVID. But maybe I'm wrong. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I think it's pretty simple. PlayStation's going to sell more consoles. That comes down to pretty much one thing, and that's that Halo got delayed. That was the console seller. That was the game to play. Even if the showing wasn't great, there's still droves and droves of Halo fans. I didn't love that showing, but if they kept showing more stuff that looked good, Halo 3 is one of my favorite games of all time. So who knows? Maybe that would have swayed me or something. But realistically, like yes, this news of Marvel of Miles Morales coming to PS4 is a lot different than like, oh, it's actually been delayed potentially a whole
Yeah.
year. So realistically, I don't think PlayStation, like I don't think, yes, that news will bring some people back. They're not going to sell maybe as quite as many consoles, but I think that number of people who are now decided they're not going to buy PS5 because of that is pretty low relative to maybe people who on Xbox were going to get one, but then Halo got delayed and now they're not going to get one. And then I think the other main thing here is I think with Xbox, you'll probably see more sales for the Series S than the Series
I
X.
agree. Yeah.
Whereas I think for the PlayStation, uh,
I don't
I don't
know.
know. Honestly, I think it might be 50. It might even be more PS4 if PS5 was fully backwards compatible and you have people who could throw their PS2 disc in there, maybe it'd be a different story. But I honestly that might be the same case for PlayStation. Might be still the lesser one gets more copies sold.
I think it will. And here's what, because this tweet just came up from our boy Wario64. Jim Ryan of PlayStation says thousands of games were tested for PS4 backwards compatibility. 99% can be played on the PS5. So my question is, why with the Sony or sorry with the Spider-Man Ultimate Edition with Miles, does that mean you and I can't play our Spider-Man PS4 on PS5, or is that just included for the people that never got Spider-Man? Maybe it's for them because we still didn't even got that really answered right in this conference, and that was another thing where it's like he says that. So to me, that means we should just be able to put in our Spider-Man.
Well, I think we can, but it's not going to be the same. It's going to be a little lesser version. It'll
Okay,
be it maybe it won't be optimized. Maybe the load times won't be much better, which for Spider-Man doesn't really matter so much. But maybe it won't run quite as well as if you spend that extra $20.
okay, fair
Yeah.
enough. No, that kind of answers it. I guess should we start going down the actual the order of stuff that
Well,
came out?
well, since we're on pricing, I'll throw this one last question at you
Yeah.
here. We got confirmation now that many of Sony's first-party games are going to be essentially an extra $10 more now. So Demon Souls is going to be $69.99 instead of $59.99. These are, of course, American prices, so about $10 more now for us as well. Miles Morales is an exception because I guess it's a lesser game, so they're going to sell that at 50 American dollars. But yeah, I'm guessing like everything else, like the Horizon 2 and the God of War 2 or God of War Ragnarok, are going to come out at that $70 price point. It's not much, $10 for me. I don't really care personally, but I'm curious what your thoughts are on that.
I think I don't care as much because I get it. That's just the way the world kind of works. Like markets go up all the time, but I do get it as far as it's a scary number to see that we're very close to that $100 mark. And I think that is the thing for a
Yeah, I
lot
mean
of
with taxes, we're already over 100 on a lot of games.
yeah. So I think for a lot of people, especially I'd say Canadian, even for Americans, $70, 30 away from 100. Like I think it is tougher for people definitely on a budget.
Mhm.
And it's one of those that hopefully that's why I'm always a big advocate of Game Pass, because I think we do need to go down that route and it would be successful because there is lots of people that want to play these games, but they maybe can get, a few. Where if you think about if I got $100 when I was a kid, well, that's one game. And then over halfway to another. Now, if you get $100 from your grandma, that's one game. Like you have to
Yeah.
be a lot more choosy if you're on a budget, which tons of people are. There's lots of mainstream gamers that buy, 2 to 3 games a year, and that's about it. So and it's also that for me, it's a if I because it's not so much about the forwarding it. That's not a problem. It's the thing of I don't want to spend $100 and let the game sit there. So for me, it's one of those things. If I'm not really fully invested in a game, I'm gonna wait for a sale. The same way with Watch Dogs 2, which I never played, but I picked up for $20. The last Resident Evil I really wanted to play, but I didn't have the time, so I waited, and now I'm going to play it this October. So I think you're going to find, whether it's myself or other people, just waiting, whether it's a budget reason or a life reason of, hey, I don't want to slam $100 down and put in 10 hours and go, man, I just wasted $100, because that's a
Yep.
lot. But I was expecting it because we had heard those rumblings, right? And there's been some analysts over the years that have kind of, like I listened to Sacred Symbols, and Colin Moriarty for years has been saying that games are going to go up next generation. So it wasn't like a big gunshot to me, but someone like Taylor, who's not really in the ecosystem or listens to podcasts, for him, he's like, wow, like this is like a lot of money, and that's the
Mhm.
thing where it's just like, especially for him, because he's buying Assassin's Creed, he's buying that Star Wars game, he's buying a Call of Duty. That's almost all $300 right there, and just in games, and
Yeah.
woof.
Yeah, I think it definitely depends on what kind of gamer you are. There's a lot of people who really only play like triple A big games from studios that have like, 2, 3, 400, 500 employees. And so I think it makes sense for the prices to go up. I play a shit ton of indie games, Splunky 2,
Yeah.
$20, 19.99 if you're American. That's a pretty good price. And so I don't know, if you're on a budget and like a game's too much, then I guarantee you there are many, many other options out there. And that's not even including that. Of course, Game Pass is an amazing, amazing deal now with EA Play mixed in there as well. But
Oh
also,
yeah.
Sony is even bolstering their PlayStation Plus subscription. I actually have this open. I want to read this. So this is, I'm guessing, alongside with the 2 free games you get every month, which I will say has been pretty mixed. I guess Fall Guys was a good one. That, of course, is a lesser expensive game, but still like a good thing to have within that yearly subscription. But here are some of the games that are going to come to PS5 at launch with the PS Plus membership now. Just for it, there's no additional cost as far as I'm aware. It's just this is what they're doing to try and compete with Game Pass. So here's the current list: Battlefield 1, Batman Arkham Knight, Bloodborne, Days Gone, Detroit Become Human, Fallout 4, Final Fantasy something, I don't know, there's X's and B's, God of War, Infamous Second Son, The Last Guardian, The Last of Us Remastered, Monster Hunter World, Mortal Kombat X, Persona 5, Ratchet and Clank, Resident Evil 7, Uncharted 4, and Until Dawn. So a lot of these games are quite old, but some of them are like, boom, God of War, Game of Year winner, massive game, has a sequel coming out. I've never played God of War. I was talking to Travis recently about maybe picking it up for a potential podcast, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But now I'm just going to wait and I'll just play it on PS5 because it'll be included in the subscription I already have. So I think that's a pretty damn good roster of games if that's where they're starting with. I hope that more indies join this because I think that's one of the great things about Game Pass, as well as getting all your Xbox games day one, is that it has a really, really, really good selection of indie games. So I kind of hope that that's something they focus on here as well. But for day one, I think that's a pretty good selection of games. What do you think about that?
I think it is if you are getting a PlayStation 5 either general from Xbox or you didn't play much of PlayStation 4. I guess it's for the hardcores like myself as far as a Sony guy. Like all those games you've listed as far as the Sony ones, I've played majority of them, right? And I feel like lots of those games, Batman, Mortal Kombat, they were already on the PS now, like
Yeah,
they're already
Uncharted
games
4
there.
was as well. Yep.
Yeah, so I just feel like it's trying to like put window like shading on this product, being like, look at all we have, and it's like, well, really, you've had it the whole time. You're just bolstering. I was waiting for the, and obviously it's a controversial game, but I was waiting for they were gonna drop like Ghost and Last of Us and say like every single PS4. I know they wouldn't, but I thought this was gonna be like, oh, they're making a whole library. So it's just to me like, it's cool because there's a few of those older titles like Days Gone I do want to try out. I never really wanted to buy because I've heard mixed things, but I think that could have. It doesn't still match Games Pass for me. If that's their answer, to me, this shows that again, like Xbox and PlayStation, of course, they both are competing in a sense, but they're just both on such different wavelengths now. Because I always thought for years in the podcast, we talked about how I thought they were going to have an answer. They clearly don't have their answer. They have an answer, but to me, it's a lot less as far as what Xbox providing. The same way Xbox and their first party games so far has been a lot less, right? So they have strengths, and that's why for me, I will probably be buying an Xbox on the financing plan because I don't want to drop a 400 and then a 500 all in a week and almost spend $1,500 in gaming. But $35 a month for Xbox Series X, that's pretty easy. I want Games Pass. I like, and I'll have one the bedroom one here. Like that's a great price. And I know lots of people were wanting that from PlayStation today, but PlayStation has never been that we're going to be the phone model. That's always been Xbox the past 2 years. So that's another pro that Xbox has.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm curious to see how often they update this list because Game Pass also has new games that come to it every month. Sometimes they're not maybe like as big as you would want, but I think they have a pretty good roster of games that are constantly kind of shuffled through there, as well as keeping some of the staples. So yeah, I'm really curious to see if come like December, if they add more games onto this. In January, if they add even more games onto this. And I guess I'm also curious if they remove stuff as well, because God of War was on PS Now as well, but it was only on there for a month. So I wonder if that's something that'll change as well, where there's like these games are on here and you're going to keep these for not going to say for life, but these are going to be on here for years. So you'll have the chance to play through all of them.
Yeah, I wonder. There's this Washington Post. They just put out an article with Jim Ryan, and there's just a few quotes. He said there's going to be more PlayStation 5 units in the wild available than the PS4s at 2013. So they're saying they're going to have more at launch than they did 2013.
Okay.
And he also, this was just a little quote that he wanted.
What was that like? Was it hard to find consoles at the time? Because I honestly have never in my life have I got a console on launch. And so I've never really paid attention to that stuff because I'm like, whatever, I'll just get it later down the road. But obviously I'm in a different place now, and I do want to get this at launch. I think you did get a PS4 at launch. So what was that like?
I pre-ordered that and an Xbox One because I wasn't sure where I was going, and everyone that I knew in Kelowna that wanted an Xbox or a PS4 got it. Because what would happen is like you do your
day one.
Day one, yeah. You do your pre-orders, but then also there'd be a lot that would show up that were unaccounted for, and they're like extra, right? Bulk. So lots of people got them. Chris, my Marvel Alliance host, he just pre-ordered his PS5, so he got his today from Walmart. So far, people that I know personally that have tried it, it's going well. So if there's more than 2013, then I think the hardcores will want it. And then by Christmas, they'll want more. And then this was another thing they said, and I don't know, I call bullshit on this, but they said they decided the prices quite early this year, I'm sure. But they said that they always wanted to offer a version of the PlayStation that is the same price as the PS4, hence the discless version.
Right.
So that was kind of their idea. So that's a statement, and it's a whole
I
article.
think that actually I'm sure that actually is accurate, but things would have changed had Xbox come out with something different last week. I think it's just like this is the prices they picked. Okay, Xbox fell into what we thought they were going to do. Cool, we're going to go with these prices. So I don't know. Maybe I'm naive there, but I don't think that's too shocking if that they decide on these prices earlier.
Yeah. Should you want to run down some of the stuff? Obviously, the stuff we already talked about, we won't have to touch like God of War, but you want to run down this stuff?
Yeah, for sure.
So Final Fantasy 16, I don't have much to add, but they showed a big trailer, and obviously the big news was that this is a PlayStation exclusive, which I thought was starting off the same way a few months ago in July with Deathloop, of just like, wow, like another one. As far as I don't think Final Fantasy, I think their fan base is with PlayStation, but still, it's a move. I've liked Final Fantasy enough. I'm more excited eventually to get the remake of 7 and get more of that, but the newer ones haven't really grabbed me, and this didn't either. But I was just more caught off guard by the move that's going to be exclusive.
Yeah, I had to look into this because I'm not too knowledgeable on Final Fantasy's releases, but the most recent one, 15, and I guess online, Final Fantasy Online, whatever it's called, is kind of the other one of interest. And 14, those ones came out recently, and those all were on Xbox. I don't know if I don't know if it was like a time exclusive thing on PlayStation. So forgive me for not having that information, but I think it is pretty interesting that this one now is. I've always associated Final Fantasy as more of a PlayStation branded thing. Of course, that doesn't mean it's always been exclusive. That's just always in my mind. I've always kind of made that connection. So I think this is an interesting play. This game seems like it's pretty far out. So I don't think I have too much to share on it. There was maybe a little bit of gameplay in here, but I don't know if it was true gameplay. It was more like cinematic gameplay stuff. Anyway, but I don't know. It looks cool enough. I think this is I think this is a surprise for me. As I said at the top of the show, I didn't really expect any new games to get shown off here today. So I thought this was an interesting one to open up their conference with, and it just makes me even more curious. When is the remake part 2 or remake, whatever the fuck they're gonna call it? When is that coming?
Yeah.
Is that 3 years from now? Is that 2 years from now? I just think that's such a strange thing, especially if that remake only goes into let's say 10% of what the original game's length is. That is just going to be such a mess, in my opinion, when it's all said and done. But I don't know. I think this was a solid announcement, I guess.
Yeah, I thought it was a good way. Let's see here. Oh, I got a nice email from Best Buy saying I got the pre-orders are available for the PlayStation 5. So
Is this
for
for
Canada,
Canadian?
I'm going to do a refresh. So folks, here you go in the
Feel
podcast.
free to send me that link, Travis.
I will, and the podcast is all be edited out, so you'll be fine. So yeah, let me take a little look here. But and then after that, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say we could talk about Miles Morales in the meantime while you're.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna throw to. Yeah, so Miles Morales, they revealed finally, which I'm excited. They revealed. Oh man, so I went to go load the site, and it's like buffering. It's so clearly people got the news, but it revealed that the Tinker is a villain, which I was happy because we've been talking about for a while. The Tinker.
Never heard of this character before.
He's in Spider-Man Homecoming. He's the guy that supplies Vulture and stuff, all his gear. He was in a Marvel Ultimate Alliance game. He's usually an old guy with like a bunch of mechanical stuff, but it looks like that he has been gender swapped and he's a woman, because at least that voice sounded like that. But I'm happy we at least got a villain, and it shows that Roxxon is like taking over streets of New York and blah blah blah. So I everything they showed, I was watching this and I'm like, I don't really need to see much. Like, I'm sold on this game. I think everyone's sold on this game. But with the music and when they showed him just popping off with all his powers, oh man, I'm excited. No matter how long this game is, I am very excited. So I think this was a great showing. Even Taylor, I screenshot it. He was like, oh, this game could sway me. I think everything they've showed and talked about with Miles Morales, this video game, has paid off. And I think they've done a great job with it. I think they're just killing it with the marketing. So I will send you that link, Dylan, because it is up right now. So look at that.
Did you load the site?
I did. I haven't tried to actually pre-order anything yet, but it was very slowly. The first I got 504 gateway eras. So
Interesting. I'll check it out. Yeah, for Miles Morales, yeah, I think this isn't a great showing. I know, of course, they always say this is like, oh, this was take recorded in PS5 in engine, whatever. They can use all these words, but I always take it with a grain of salt. This looked amazing. To me, the lighting is what stood out the most in terms of the look of it, especially shining off of his suit and all that looked amazing. I really like the setting of winter. I think it's going to be a fun addition to our world. I also like
100%.
just the fact that this scene took place on the bridge was exciting because I specifically remember trying to go on every bridge in Spider-Man PS4, and that's where like the invisible walls are, so you can't go any further. But I always kind of wanted that scene. Plus, like how many iconic Spider-Man scenes happen on bridges, you know? So I thought it was a pretty good showing. I don't think I needed to see any more of this game. Like I love Spider-Man PS4 so much that this looked great. Miles Morales' new powers look like a lot of fun. I guess they're not new powers, but his powers look, well, I guess they are kind of new for him. They said that this takes place a year after the game. So I was also curious about when it was going to take place. We've talked about this before because, he is just kind of learning at the very end of the first game. So I was curious timeline wise where this would be. So that's kind of fun to know. And it makes sense because he'll be a little bit more skilled. He'll have all the basics down. And then we can just get right into it with like a new power set. And I'm really excited to use those electricity powers, especially with that lighting. It's going to be pretty exceptional, I'm sure.
Yeah, I was intrigued when they did say, yeah, it's a year away, because I had thought it was only going to be a few months, to be honest. I thought maybe
Mm-hmm.
6 months the most, but I did not think a year. So that's a lot has changed, and they still haven't said where Peters is. Like they don't know like
Yes,
exactly what.
I'm guessing they'll just keep that to be in game. We'll find out that in the game. I don't think they'll share any more about that particular storyline, which I hope. I kind of want to be surprised when I first bump into him, or hopefully he's in there somewhere. Like you have to at least talk to him on a phone or something.
Yeah.
Like
So
maybe he leaves stuff hiding around the city that you're supposed to go get as like a training thing. I don't know. I'm sure they'll have more collectibles, so maybe that's a way to incorporate him.
So I was on the Best Buy website. And this was funny to go to our conversation. The digital only edition sold out.
Holy shit.
Yeah, so I'm doing that one right now. But yeah,
Yeah, I
that's
guess
kind of.
which one are you wanting to buy? We didn't talk about that,
I
I
was
guess.
just about to ask you, because I'm literally. Luckily, I've made the decision, because I don't know how the pre-orders work, because when I did the pre-order the first time, it was you put down $100 and then that's it. Where this shows it, because it's online, as me like the whole thing. So I don't know for sure, but that's where I was like in this dilemma of like, what do I do? Because the price, I think it was 630. It's 630 Canadian
Yeah, okay.
altogether. Altogether, it's $705 because of taxes. So that's what the main console
That
is. So
is
that's why I
so
was
much
gonna.
money.
Yeah. And that's why I was looking. I'm like, so what is the digital one going for? But it says not available in Kelowna and Vernon, sold out. It looks like this one is available. So I'm going to see what it is as far as if it actually goes through. I'm testing it right now. So you're literally, if people's watching or listening, you're watching me spend
You're
seven
along the
hundred
ride
dollars
with us right now, yeah.
Yeah, but that is interesting as far as our conversation goes, as what's going to sell out first. Like what, and that could be, again, if it's a bit cheaper, people go, oh, hey, like, because if I don't know what it is with taxes, but even then, $120 less. You know,
That is the price of a game and a half. A game and an indie game. That's quite a bit. It's the price of a controller plus a game, essentially.
yeah, you could get a whole nother controller for that. So let's see here. What was next? We had Hogwarts Legacy. So this is a
Yeah,
game
this
that's
is a
been rumored
surprise.
for quite a while. It was years ago when this, not years ago, but I think it was 2 years ago. It like some maybe 2 years ago. It's some time ago. You remember that footage leaked, and we were wondering what it's for. It was showing Harry Potter games, and it was like people weren't sure if this was just someone messing around or maybe a canceled game. But this footage is real. It had been pinned on Avalanche because for a while people thought Rocksteady, the Arkham guys, were making this, but then when they came out with their Suicide Squad game and then the other company came out with Gotham Knights, they go, well, they're not doing that, it must be Avalanche. That was confirmed today. And yeah, what were your first thoughts on Hogwarts Legacy, the RPG? It's an RPG. It's been confirmed, but they even said that. I swear the Dumbledore light was like, your choice will matter. Make your choices. What magic will you choose? The word choice was in the trailer a lot, but what did you think about this?
So as I mentioned with Final Fantasy, I wasn't expecting to see it there, but still, it's like Well, Sony slash PlayStation announcing a new Final Fantasy game, like it's not that surprising. Where this I was totally shocked by it. Like we heard rumors about this for a while, especially in the last few months. It's really been drumming it up. And I've been really curious about it. Didn't know when it was coming out. Didn't have much information. I kind of forgot about what you were talking about, Travis, with the this other footage. I kind of totally forgot about that. So I was not expecting to see this today at all. And I think my Harry Potter hype is at an all time low, considering J.K. Rowling's kind of going all ham on Twitter lately, and Fantastic Beasts movies are pretty bad. So I guess I'm just not super hyped for the Wizarding World right now, but I still thought this looked really interesting. I think the idea of like a Wizarding World RPG where you kind of create your own character and you go through these different classes and level your character up and go do stuff sounds interesting. I don't know if that's exactly what this game is, but that's kind of the vibe it gave me, where you're doing your different classes and you play as a character that I'm not familiar with. I'm guessing it's a kind of avatar character made character, but I think this is something interesting, something different, something that I can't say we've really seen for Harry Potter games. I feel like a lot of them were kind of in that era of games based off movies where they had like a very quick turnover time and therefore aren't the deepest games. The one I can think of, there's just so much walking in it. I'm sure there's been like a Quidditch game or some shit like that. But overall, I thought this was a pretty good trailer. Like at all said and done, I think this was a really well made trailer. And it's something that I'm actually really interested in. 2021, I'll have to see when it comes out. If it comes out the same day as Deathloop's, like see you later. But if it comes out at a good time, then I think I'm pretty interested in this. I feel like I could use some positive like Harry Potter content in my life. Um, but I guess I'm not. I guess I'm not like terribly passionate about that sphere of things right now, given the circumstances.
Well, they even in the trailer said you can catch fantastic beasts, and I was like, "Don't say that. Don't use the beasts word." I
Yeah.
feel like that. So, I honestly was pretty impressed. I thought that the idea of a Harry Potter um, RPG when that was going around as a rumor, I thought that's great. I love that Chamber of Secrets game that came out for the GameCube like years ago. But
Mm.
I thought a fully like furbished, like this is Harry Potter RPG, lots of heart and soul poured into it. A game that was real like a full on role playing game. And I'm not saying it's gonna be like Witcher level or Knights of the Republic, but just even stuff like you can choose your own house, you could choose what type of wizard
Yeah.
you want to be. I think that is just the potent that world has endless potential. It's one of those worlds like that's why I get mad at Star Wars, that Jedi Fallen Order. I like the game, but for what EA has done with it, there's so much potential in that world you can do, and they've just been so laser focused on a few type of game genres. Harry Potter, I think it's just right for the taking. I think this game, that's what I want to ask you, because obviously it's there's 12 months a year, so lots of time. But in 20, well, actually, no, I guess I'm wrong, because 2021, Warner Brothers has that Arkham, that Gotham's game coming out. But I forgot Suicide Squad isn't till 2022. So I think one
Mm-hmm.
game is going to be early, not early, but maybe like quarter 2. I could see this being the fall game because one, a Fantastic Beasts movie, if the world goes back to normal, comes out next fall. But I also just think Harry Potter fits with a fall sort of season in a way. Like I don't like the movies, it's always snowing and stuff. Like I know it's weird, but I feel like that has a nice place. And we don't know how far along this game is. I don't know how far along like Gotham's Night game is either. So I think it would depend. But I think they will, even though much different franchises, they'll give them some space because they're both big potential properties.
Yeah, it's I when did the other Batman games come out generally? What time of year?
The very first one came out in August, and then after that, they're always a mix somewhere between like August and fall. So they're always kind of around there. So I
Uh-huh.
feel that it's tough because the Arkham Knight one, the last one, I think was an August game and got delayed. So it's kind of weird, but they're always from August to, I'd say, November.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. That's kind of hard for me to predict. I guess the thing is too, like so much has changed in the last couple of years. Like games never used to come out at the very start of the year, but now you have things like God of War and Breath of the Wild and Horizon that all came out like really early on in the year. I guess Hitman's not quite on that tier, but Hitman 3 is coming out in January. So there's clearly a little like an interest to release games at all times of year now, and I think it shows. Like there's games are just so profitable, it doesn't really matter what time of year, you can still get
Yeah.
some sales. So Yeah, I don't know if I really have a prediction on that one. I don't know, like I don't know anything about this studio who's making this game, but if to speak on Rocksteady, like it's been so long since they've, I guess, well, we know their game is 2022, right? For
Yeah, that's what they said for the Suicide Squad.
and then
Yeah,
Gotham Knights, they did confirm 2021.
just
Okay,
no quarter, but 2021.
right.
I think that makes sense
Hmm.
because I don't think you want to put out the two major DC games
But even then,
in.
it's been like that studio making the Gotham Knights game. It's been a long time since they've released a game.
They've had a
Let's
game
hope that it's
canceled on
ready to
them.
go kind of early or
Yeah,
somewhat soon, I should say.
they were originally making a Suicide Squad game and it got canceled on them. So they've been
Right.
working for a while and stuff. So let's see. I know we've had a little comeback in it, but do you have much to say on Call of Duty? Because I Taylor said he's still buying a Call of Duty, and that's great because he's a big COD fan. But I think I'm happy with Warzone. I've been very happy to be playing Warzone again, but I think my interest for COD died years ago, and it's still that way no matter what they do.
Yeah, I don't really care about Call of Duty at this point. Yeah, I'll keep playing Warzone because it's absolutely free. But I mean, I don't know. There's too many other games in my life. I've played enough Call of Duties, and I don't feel like there's enough like new innovation there. Even just first-person shooters in general, not really my thing. Something like Outer Worlds, perfectly interested in that. But yeah, just straight ahead games that are all about just shooting for the sake of shooting. Yeah, I don't know. It's not that interest, not so much there for me. They've been, of course, marketing this game like crazy. It's gonna sell crazy, but I think for myself and sounds like for you, who cares? Not for us.
Yeah, I can confirm I officially have a pre-order for a PS5.
I'm
So
working on it. I'm working
yeah,
on it.
you go. I'm going to talk for a bunch because I can talk a lot about this Resident Evil 8
They
trailer.
don't charge you right away, right? They charge you like in the future.
I don't know. I've never done it online. I've only always done it in person, So I hope, not that I hope not, it's fine, but it's just like I
Yikes.
got all my family just gave me money for my birthday, even though I can afford a console. They're just like, we know you're buying a console. Here you go. I was like, oh
Yeah.
my God, it's sitting here somewhere. Where's my
I will say as well, this console comes out in mid-November. I am moving before then, so I don't know where my address is for this console to send it to. So that's also a point of concern.
You could send it to your sisters, right?
Oh,
Just
it
to be
says when your
safe.
items have shipped. Okay, I'll just place this then. I can cancel it. Who
Oh,
cares?
really? It says
Yeah.
that? Oh, perfect. And then if the digital comes up, but yeah, here's look birthday money that I got from people. It's just
Oh,
been
look at
sitting here
that.
waiting. Yeah,
Look at
yeah.
those Canadian bills. I love those Canadian bills.
So this is a game I'm getting so fucking stoked for. Resident Evil 8. I've not played the 7 one. I bought
Amazing
it.
trailer. Holy shit.
I bought it when it was on sale. They did some PlayStation sale. It was like $20. It's because again, I don't think they're like the best movies in the world, but you, me, Briggs, Kirklin, we have this appreciation for Hereditary, Midsommar. That's what this game looks like. It looks like The Witch. It looks like that terrible movie Apostle we watched, but something good. Like it's just hitting me in all the vibes of horror I've been digging lately. Or just like I said, even if something like Midsommar, where I don't think it was the greatest, I appreciate watching it. And I loved like the variety of that movie. And I would take that movie over many other just kind of popcorn flicks. So this trailer, even at one point they get into like this like sort of art style that is like the Deathly Hallows at the end of Harry Potter when they're telling the story. This is just hitting me in all the right spots. And I was on my knees praying because I don't pray to a god, but just praying to the Sony gods that this game was not going to drop October 2020. I would have liked the game, but I was just like, I want to play that seventh one. And I also just there's other things I want to play. I want to play Spider-Man Day One, things like that. So I was happy. They didn't give like a quarter, but it is what is it? 2021. And I just think this trailer, I think all the marketing has been great. So I legitimately sometimes I'm like, oh, will I get caught up? Blah, blah. This is a game that when they drop an official date, I already have Resident Evil 7 purchased. I'm gonna plow through it and then play this because they have confirmed that was at the last conference. But again, it sounds like it could be a standalone, but it does have some ties to that number 7. And I like this kind of reboot, and I loved everything about this trailer, man. I'm getting so excited for it.
Isn't it 8? Isn't it Resident Evil 8?
Yeah, yeah.
I thought you just said 7.
No, I got to play 7.
Oh,
I bought 7th. It's Biohazard,
Right,
so
right,
I got to play because they say there's like some ties to it. So I'm gonna plow through that whenever I get a date.
I'm checking my Best Buy thing, so I'm like I was half listening to what you said there.
That's
but
okay. The fans understand.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Resident Evil, like I've heard all the praise for mostly for 2 last year, 3 earlier this year. People still liked, but wasn't quite on the tier of 2, the remakes that is. And they, that like it should get me interested, but I just felt like okay, that's cool, but I don't think I need to play them. But these trailers are so well put together. I love how creepy they are. I love how they're not just like pure horror. It seems like there's a lot of just the world building of it seems like really top tier. I'm not too ingratiated in the series. I've played a couple of the games over the years, but I think I haven't played like the golden years of it. So I just kind of have like an okay perspective of the
Yeah.
series. I don't foresee myself getting a game like this on launch. I foresee myself picking up on a sale, maybe like around Halloween or something. But yeah, I think they like in terms of marketing, I agree. Like the 8, how it fades into the village.
So good.
All of the trailers that I've seen so far, like they are really doing this game well. So I think it's cool. Like this renaissance of Resident Evil is really interesting, or even just Capcom in general is really interesting. How strong they're coming back here between this and Monster Hunter and stuff like that. So
It's so
I'm
interesting because years
uh
ago it was not looking good for Capcom. They are just on such a downward, and especially that's how I
yeah.
felt because I love those OG. I've told this before. I love the OG Resident Evils, but the newer ones really outsold me, and I lost a lot of love for that franchise. It's a separate entity, but then those movies happen as well, and those were awful. So, and then Capcom was just like, I don't like. I think the last Capcom game I played and I really love was the like the original Dead Rising in the mall. You know, I had tons of fun with that. But other than that, I'm very excited for these
Well,
two games to play back to back at some point.
yeah, I feel like horror games in general, have never really been like mainstream in like just for the most part. I guess Resident Evil is very mainstream. I think it's interesting because I just think with even stronger tech, like you can do even cooler things. Like one of the things I really liked about Blair Witch, even though I didn't finish that game, was just I don't know how they did it, but you're like constantly you are going in circles, and it's just like this
Yeah.
effect where you think you're making progress, but then you end up in the same spot, and it was really creepy, really intense. And I don't know if that was because of like quick loading that made it seem that way, but I feel like there's a lot to be done with some really cool tech that maybe these new consoles are capable of. Although I imagine this is coming to PS4 as well. I
I
can't confirm
I
that, but
would think
I kind
so.
of feel like
Yeah.
this is one that's going to go across both, considering it's a Capcom game and not a first party game.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Maybe PlayStation forked over some big money to make it a PS5 exclusive. So who knows?
Yeah, and even though I could see PS4 because I don't think that one's like a console seller. I think that's one like you said, lots of people get on sale, or just if there's lots of buzz, maybe it'll pick up. But I don't think people are running out. You didn't update me when you said place your order. Did you get one?
It's in my order history on Best Buy, and I got an email confirming that I made an account because I just had to make an account right now. I didn't get an email confirming that I have one, but I mean it's in my order history, so I think I'm good. Um,
Yeah, that was the
oh,
same
I think
thing
I'm
as me.
good.
I never got an email confirming
Okay.
mine, but I got the thank you for your purchase, and I got my confirmation number as well.
Right, yeah, I got my order number here, so I think I'm good here. I mean, I don't know if this is reliable on here, but hopefully it is. I
Well,
mean, I
and
guess
plus
if you said the PS4 digital was or the PS5 digital is gone, then I guess that this means it's probably accounted for stock wise.
yeah, plus it has happened in the past before where sometimes they'll email you and be like, "Oh, it didn't go through because of whatnot." So we're not on the clear yet, but we're it looks like we're there, folks. But yeah, did you look at the digital for yours? Because mine was just the Kelowna and Vernon, so maybe in Vancouver you had yours, but
I'm not
oh
sure. I don't really have that many PS4 discs, but I feel like I have enough that I'd want to get the digital version, even though I like the physical version, even though I really do prefer the look of the digital version. I think it's a little more sleek.
mhm.
But
At the end of the day, like we
honestly, for the
said,
$100 difference, like maybe I should consider that. I kind of just went for it and clicked on this one, but who
well, I'd
knows?
rather get this thing at nothing. That's how I
True.
looked at it. Once you see that sold out, but at the end of the day, too, and you talk about how sleek it is, we already know we're just gonna put it in our cabinets and never see it again. We'll see it every once in a while, and that'll be about it. So,
Yeah, exactly.
next, we talked about this a bit already. I have nothing more to add than other than it was another good trailer for Deathloop, but I don't have anything new to add to that really.
Yeah, I think it was an amazing trailer. If this game was coming out sooner, I would talk about it more. But I think this looks amazing. I think they showed like this power you can get where you just fling enemies in the air and then fling them out the window, and the sound effect on it was fucking pristine. It's everything I would expect. There's some really cool stuff that they shared here story wise, or like what you're doing in the game. I think it's just so far out at this point, 6 months or so that
Quarter two, that was a shot to the heart for me. I was hoping quarter one when I saw that. I know you had said that they
right.
confirmed
I
it
guess
weeks ago.
yeah,
I
that's
didn't
the thing
know
I
that.
wanted to comment on is Arcane mentioned I thought it was a couple weeks ago. It was actually about a month ago now, where they said, "Hey, sorry, got to delay the game," and they did say Q2, so that wasn't a surprise to me. I was actually surprised to still see it in here. I thought we'd see more. I guess we did see a lot of like 2021 things, so I guess it makes sense for it to be in here. So I guess this was good for it to be in here to inform people like you, and well, you probably I think you knew it was delayed, but inform other people that it was that like when it to expect to see it now. So I guess it was good that it was in here. I think it was an amazing trailer. It's now my most anticipated game after Splunky, which now that Splunky 2 is out, which maybe surprised you that I'm not like going ham talking about, but I feel like I've done that already so many times. And I don't know. I think this game looks amazing. I'm gonna get it day one. It's to me a console seller.
Mhm.
Everyone, please, if you have so much time to go now that it's delayed, you have so much time to go back and try out Dishonored 1 and 2 and Prey. Go check out why I'm so excited for this game. Arcane Studios is making some stellar games right now.
I almost wonder if this was attached because at one point it was a launch thing, and I was like, "Well, we have this trailer that we've made for it,"
Yes,
and just. But I agree with
yeah,
you. I don't
but
know if
the
they need
fact
to
that they
show
have
it.
the info in here that it is Q2 and everything, like obviously this trailer, whatever, this whole presentation was cut recently, like cut together recently. So I don't
Yeah.
know.
After that was Devil May Cry 5. I have nothing to add for it. There's a special edition for the digital. It was like digital only PS5. I have no idea what that means, but yeah, I have nothing to add. Never been my franchise. Probably never will be.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm in the same boat, so I don't think I can provide much thought. I guess it's just the definitive version, which, get ready. We will see a lot of this in the next year, I'm sure. Definitive versions. Here's this version of the game that looks slightly better and has all the DLC. We're going to see a lot of that coming soon.
Another one, Oddworld. I've talked about this before as a franchise. I was a fan of the franchise in the past. This is one that maybe if it's on sale, I got the remastered of it. I enjoyed that. I may get it, but this is kind of like what you're talking about Resident Evil. This is like down the line. Like this is a PS Plus, like $10 to $20 game for me. I don't love it that much to go spend, even if it's $40 maybe. But I think it's just there's other games I want to dive into. But I'm happy Oddworld is back. It was like a really niche PlayStation title back in the day, and I think they're making the game that people will enjoy if you like that series.
Mm-hmm. I yeah, we talked about this one on the PS5 coverage. I'm not familiar with the series, but I think the gameplay looks super interesting. Like it's a very unique game, and I love
I
the
think you'd
aesthetic.
like it. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think this is one that's definitely on my radar. I'm curious when it comes out. We don't have that information right now, I don't think, but yeah, I think this is a cool, different game for Sony because obviously we've seen like a lot of their games are kind of these open world third person action adventure games, and I think Oddworld serves as something different. So I think that's good. Yeah.
Yeah. And then next, I have no idea what this is, but I guess it's just a sequel for Five Nights at Freddy. Five Nights at Freddy Security Breach. The only reason I say is because I don't know if there's like multiples. I think I've seen spin-offs, but either way, as far as IGN lists, it just says first trailer for the Five Nights Freddy sequel. So that's good. I've actually never played them. I've always wanted to. They look like they're kind of in my wheelhouse. I've just never got around to it. I don't know if I will with the sequel. I'm kind of always waiting for like a 24-hour stream or something. I think one day we could like bust it out, but no, none of us own it, so we've never really done that. It
Right.
looks like it looks fun. I love Goosebumps. I love that type of kids horror stuff, but I've never got
Yeah.
around to it. But I it's a successful franchise, so if it's getting a sequel, makes sense to me.
It's kind of like Until Dawn, isn't it? Like, or is it more multiplayer focused?
I think well, Until Dawn's really serious though. Like it's very like Until Dawn's supposed to be like a real slasher and like there's killers and there's a psychopath. Where this kind of looks like tongue in cheek. Oh, tongue
Right.
in cheek horror. So sorry, I kicked my Darth Maul piggy bank.
Not a sentence you're gonna hear too often, folks.
No.
Yeah, I know. I think it's a great trailer.
Hmm.
I honestly I don't think there was really a bad trailer in the mix here. Like I think they really put together a good mix of some things like gameplay, some were just cinematic, but I think everything looked like impressive visually. So that's something.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I talked about this already, so I don't have too much to add, but do you have anything else to add more on Demon Souls? Like I said, I talked about at the beginning, love the trailer. I don't know if I'll be getting it day one, but it's actually a game that I feel like if it kind
Mhm.
of goes on sale one day, I might just because you put it perfectly. The landscape, the environment, just it really hooked me. When I saw that big, huge night, like I said, I was like, I could be into this. The gameplay might be challenging for me. I'm sure there's a nice, easy difficulty for Travis Mainstream Snail, but it looked really cool.
Yeah. So obviously there's a lot of things I was looking forward to in this conference. I wanted to see that price. I wanted to see the release date. I always like to see Deathloop. I didn't need to see it here, but to me, this was the one thing I was hoping for today. I was really hoping we'd see Demon Souls. I wanted to one get a release date, and two, I just wanted to see maybe some gameplay or more of it. So we got all of that. We got some gameplay which looked fantastic and sold me on the game. I was already pretty sold after the reveal, but knowing or seeing some gameplay now, I'm like extra sold on it. And then the other thing I was curious about was release day, which we didn't actually get in the conference, but we have got in the hours since the conference. And if it's a launch title like these people say it is, then holy shit, I'm buying this game at launch. And now I'm getting this alongside Cyberpunk and Miles Morales. So that's a lot of money to spend, but that's how interested I am in this game. I'm actually I have the trailer up again right now. It's like, fuck, this game, the animations look so good. So good. This might be the most beautiful game I've ever seen, and it doesn't even have color in it. It's just like so dark and drab, but it looks so good.
And then after that was God of War. We already talked about that. Not
Mhm.
much to go on. I think it was a cool way because it says 2021. Like Dylan said, it could be December 2021. It could be super far out, but I think that was smart to do the classic. And we got one more thing. I think that was very smart to end on this because I think they already did a bunch of surprises and some hype stuff, but I think that was just one more to send it home. Here, I would say that since Last of Us, the very first one, God of War is their most acclaimed game. I know critically, Part Two has Last of Us Part Two has a lot of acclaim, but obviously fan wise, it divided everybody. So
Yeah.
I feel like God of War is that new. They're next to Spider-Man. They're kind of like the breadwinner, and Spider-Man's in a different position because they already have a game like currently coming out. So if you're looking in the future, what's like the biggest thing you could drop of this is coming? God of War, and I think it was placed perfectly.
Yeah, I don't have much to add. Like I said earlier, I haven't played God of War yet. I'm probably gonna now wait and get it and play it on PS5 when I guess extinguished those other three games I just mentioned. But I think I just wanted to say I think it's funny that there was Thor Ragnarok and there was all these rumors of Assassin's Creed Ragnarok as the name of the game, and now this is the thing. I don't know why this word is so hot lately. It's a great
Oh
word, don't
yeah,
get me wrong, but I just think it's funny how many things are being named Ragnarok.
I thought the same thing. I was like, oh, here we go. But they're rocking with it. So
Ragnarok
yeah,
and
they're rocking, rocking. Anything else to say on this? I think we've covered everything. We as of right now, I did get an email from Best Buy. So as of right now, you and I may have PlayStation
oh,
5s.
I did too. Look at that.
Yeah, I don't like the will be shipped early as November 16th. I hope to see that change and whatnot.
Yeah.
I still hope that there's because I still want to find out going in store. Or maybe I gotta text somebody at Best Buy, but I want to find out if I can do that. I'm not really wanting to go in a store right now. I actually haven't gone other than grocery stores. I haven't gone in a store in a hot minute. Like
Yeah,
it's
I
been
haven't been to a GameStop this year. I was like really excited to get Animal Crossing physical, but it was in March and I was like, you know what? Nah, not worth it.
yeah. So yeah,
Um,
I maybe will send a text and see if they're doing that because I would like to have one
yeah.
because last time just to have it there and I could pick it up because November 16th is not ideal. But if that's the best I can do, then I won't complain because
You know what,
it's a
man?
PS5.
Honestly, obviously so much has gone on in the last couple hours. The more I've thought about it, the more I'm thinking like, shit, maybe I should just get the digital version of this. Like I do have like I don't know how many 7 or 8 PS4 games. And I was planning on like selling my PS4 if I could for like somewhat of a decent price and get this, but like the price is actually quite a bit different Canadian dollar wise. And how much am I
I've
really gonna like really if I really want to play Death Stranding again, which I will at some point, I'm sure it'll be like $20 on PlayStation Store.
I've thought about this too in the way of I buy a lot of digital already, but if I do that financing with Xbox, I may get that as the disc version. So for my Blu-rays, stuff like that, any movies
Mm,
I have that. And then because I same thing with you, 120, $130, that's a lot more. Now, the thing is, I don't know with your Vancouver store, like I said, mine, it's just sold out. So I don't have an option.
yeah.
So I just went, I'm just gonna get that one anyways. But down the line, tomorrow, if EB Games Online opens some up, Amazon. I think I'm gonna at
Right.
least pre-order a disc because the thing is, like you said, most places are gonna charge you when you ship. So I think I'll pre-order a discless one, and then once I decide, cancel one, and then once because they have that option. That's what I did last gen with the Xbox and PlayStation 4. I didn't know I was on the fence. I got them both, and then one day when hey to a friend, you can have my Xbox one because I'm not going to be needing it. So I think I might try and hunt down a discless one, pre-order it, and then I still got like a month or so to decide. So because I'm with you,
Yeah.
I'm teetering too. It's tough.
Yeah, I don't know. I got to think about this more, even though I may not have time to think about it.
But
But
see, this is what I told you. This is why they're trying to
I
all.
hate this, man. I don't want to want a console at launch. This is stupid shit. I would rather get it down the road when I don't have to think about this stuff.
You don't have to. You can get. Well, I guess you want Demon Souls, so now you have to.
Yeah, well, I know. I don't know, man. I can't believe that it feels weird, It feels like normally when this stuff happens, it's like, oh, this stuff is announced, you make these decisions, and then like, okay, it comes out in like 4 months. It comes out in like 2 months from now.
Oh
Literally
yeah.
2 months to the day. Minus give or take some change there. That's like that's so soon. It feels crazy. It doesn't feel like I'm gonna be playing Miles Morales in 2 months. But I am.
No, I think it's just because they've both waited so long on it, and I also just think because it's a weird year as well. There's been so much stuff where it's like the console's not been the first thought of my mind. Where usually in a normal year and everyone was nice and happy and healthy, just be like, man, we got consoles coming out. But it's been like, man, we got so much other shit to worry about. It's
Mm-hmm.
like I can't even think about that. But yeah, they're close. They are officially done. It is less than 2 months away. The PlayStation 4.
Dude, that's trippy.
That's
It's very, very
crazy.
trippy.
Yeah.
And I mean, we got Marvel's Avengers and Splunky to hold us over. So
Oh yeah.
we didn't really mention this, but I was thinking maybe getting Mario, this week, but now it's like, I don't know if I need it. Don't know if I need it.
I'm the same way. I think I will buy it at some point, but I just don't know if I need it right now. That's where I am. I don't want to buy it and then play it for a little bit, and then like I talked about earlier, just letting it go to waste. Where I know they don't go on sale, but even in the future, if it goes on sale for 10, $15, pick it up then and be like, you know what, I'm enjoying this. So yeah, we'll see. And again, I still want to know as far as like with my digital games, like, well, I guess Avengers they said have the uptick, but like something like Ghost of Tsushima, is that just gonna? Well, like they already confirmed that, so I'm trying to think of like another. Okay, Last of Us Part 2. I'm not gonna play that game probably ever again, but let's say I wanted to, is that just gonna uptick to PlayStation 5 or no?
Yeah, it's really hard to say, man. Like I'm curious for random digital games like Outer Wilds or even Spelunky 2. Like, is that gonna if I sell my PS4, can I download that no problems on PS5, or I'm gonna have to wait for that kind of stuff for
Yeah.
like even some of these smaller indie games that they probably don't have a PS5 dev kit with them? Like, I don't know. There's so many questions still, and it feels crazy that it's coming out so soon. And I'll also say, like, super scummy that it said, "Hey, all these things are going to go up tomorrow," and it's like happening right now. Like, I feel
100%.
bad for people who are like, "Oh, okay, I'll take them for their word," and then they go on tomorrow and everything's sold out. Like, that's really shitty of them. So
Yeah, like I said at the beginning, that's one of my major cons as far as that's my only worry as far as to end this thing, as far as I feel this, not just because of COVID, I feel in general, this PlayStation 5 reveal has been a bit sloppy. There's been surprises, there's been some good stuff.
we need Sean Layden, man.
It doesn't feel as concise as the PS4 in that first 2 years. So I do worry in the future to see what's going to happen, how they continue. Obviously, they're going off that PlayStation name. They didn't hike up the price like PS3, but I'm not as confident as I was the PS4 one. I'm still very excited, but I feel there's some moves like that. The pre-order, just say pre-orders go live at this time. Like you said, why are they randomly popping for us? If Sony didn't say anything, then fine. But the fact that their official account said, hey, pre-orders tomorrow. It's not tomorrow for you and me. It's not tomorrow for Eastern time. So it is shitty. I think it is a shitty rollout. And hey, I joke the Matt, Sony #1 fanboy, but like if they're doing bad stuff, I'm gonna call it on them. I can't be like Taylor, just spin my wheels like, oh no, there's a reason. No, like I think this today it's been great, but it's also been a fucking mess. I really do.
Yeah. Well, even that thing they did a few weeks ago where like, here, sign up to this email and like maybe we'll send you information if you can pre-order. And I think the idea of that was to like dissuade scalpers because they're going to check your PlayStation account. So in theory, it's cool, but like, I don't know. Are they saying that I'm going to get an email tomorrow, or like, am I not eligible even though I play PS5 or PS4 games? Like, I get a new PS4 game every month or two. Like, just really weird all around. But I mean, it also is a weird year, so it's hard to. I don't know. I try to cut everyone some slack right now, but
you get an email. Sorry, they're all sold out. I'm just like, oh, thanks. I'm glad I signed up for that. But
yeah.
Well, this was good. We broke it all down. We officially had this day. I'm excited that it's here. We have a price. We have a date. Like I said, November 12th. We know less than 2 months.
I really wish we had a live stream of Taylor Field buying his Series X. Has he got his? Has he like pre-ordered his yet? Because that's a live stream.
Pre-orders aren't live yet, I don't think.
Okay.
For Xbox.
We should get him on the live stream when he's going through the sites having to do what we just did. And also, we'll throw some random news at him they has to discuss while he's doing that. That'd be fun.
Yeah. So Assassin's Creed dropped a new trailer. Watch this. And like,
Yeah.
oh, I think we did pretty good. There was some pause. I had to run out of the room because I looked in my wallet and my credit card wasn't there. And I
Yeah,
was like,
my wallet was out by the door. That's why I had to run out.
yeah. So it's like, where's my credit card? Like, this makes no sense. And it's just like, oh, you can do PayPal. And then I'm thinking, like, what do I have on PayPal? I'm like, I don't think I just have $700 sitting in PayPal right now.
Yeah.
So like, but no, this was lots of fun. I'm glad we talked about it. I'm glad we got to this cast. And yeah, as always, you can find us, links below. We'll be doing lots of coverage for this, obviously, when the PlayStation 5 launches. We're obviously going to be reviewing Spider-Man, but I'm sure you and I will just do a cast in general about like the HUD and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
I think it's going to be November is going to be lots of fun because when we did our original podcast, like this podcast, all of them had already launched. We were there for the Switch launch, but we weren't here for an Xbox PlayStation. So this is one of the only firsts we haven't had. So it's exciting times.
And as a podcast, we weren't even really that hyped about Switch at launch.
No.
We're down the road and we were into it. So
And now we all
it
own
is
one.
really exciting. Yeah.
So yeah, as always, it will not be boring. Thank you very much for tuning in.